Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is a virtual training to introduce folks to CIC Health, which is one of the testing vendors sponsored by the Learn to Return program. Learn to Return is Washington State's school-based COVID-19 testing program. It's funded by the Washington State Department of Health, advised by OSPI, and implemented in partnership with Health Commons Project and all 9 ESD regions. This training is great for staff who may be new to CIC Health, whether that's your school district is just starting a program with CIC Health or is restarting its program from last year. So this training is helpful for any new staff. This can also serve as a refresher training for folks who have worked with CIC and Boris last year. I'll provide some introductions, set the stage, and then I'll invite Boris to take over the mic. Boris Pervlosky is the director at CIC Health and supports all Washington schools. Some quick housekeeping. Closed captions are available. If you look down at the bottom of your Zoom window, there's a little button that says CC. You can click that to enable closed captions on your screen. We'd like to keep everybody muted except for the facilitator and Boris when he's speaking. So CIC Health is not new to Washington. Boris and I met over a year ago, and he has been supporting 16 school districts across the state. 11 of these school districts are in high SVI areas. And the reason I highlight this is to show you that Boris and his team know how to adjust their approach, their services to meet your school community's unique needs and preferences. Boris has worked with a range of Washington school districts, urban, rural, small, large, so he can be very flexible in how he supports your school. In addition, CIC Health has upheld their equity promise, our equity promise through the Learn to Return program by translating all of their consent forms into the DOH top 20 languages to make sure that your testing program can be language accessible. They are also the only vendor on the Learn to Return menu that provides labor support. They will deploy people, trained professional staff to your school to support your testing program. So a little more about what CIC Health can offer. They can offer rapid antigen tests, individual PCR tests, and pooled testing, which is also a PCR test. Your school can select any combination of these testing technologies, just one, two, all three, and you can decide if you want to do them with or without labor support. So again, very flexible, and Boris is available to provide consultation on which combination of these options may be the best fit for your school in this school year.
Yeah, super. Thank you so much, Sarah, for the great introduction. Thanks everybody for joining us. Really appreciate the Health Commons team, the DOH team, and all the schools and districts in Washington that are here or just interested even, ultimately with keeping schools open. It's really a pleasure and delight to be here. So really honored. All right, so let's jump in and start talking about the intake process in particular. We try and really have this process be as easy as possible for schools and districts. And so what that really starts with is every school leader should have, or district leader should have, a contact with Health Commons that you can reach out to if you're interested in working with CIC Health with us. Let them know. They can gather some initial information, which is super helpful for us. And then we get right into step number 2, which is we schedule a kickoff call. Those kickoff calls are where we get into a lot more details, kind of scope out the project, try and understand the timeline a little bit that you want to work off of, the main points of contacts, the start dates, and kind of all of that information that we kind of gather and then really collaboratively work together on step 4, which is really kind of the testing operations. So we really take the lead on designing the operations, hiring and training staff that we're deploying if that's needed or required on your side. It's not always, but sometimes it is. So that's something that we can explore. And then really what we like to think of ourselves as kind of overseeing the streamlined, painless kind of implementation process to the program. So the idea is to really be a partner for you in whatever type of testing strategy that you want to undertake for this upcoming school year. Once that's all up and running, we do like to say, hey, it's great to do a dress rehearsal with any of this stuff when you're first running, especially if it's your first time working with us or conducting something that might be new for not only for your leaders, but for your community, is to kind of do a dress rehearsal. So after we've done all of those things and we're off and running, we really like to have regular recurring check-in meetings on whatever schedule that you want to operate off. Ordering supplies, we like to say this is easy, efficient, and fast. There's really two different ways that we can go about doing this. So one is auto replenish, where initially, if you're doing PCR testing, we're sending you out the testing supplies in all cases. And usually that will last you for several weeks based on what we're expecting from a testing volume standpoint. And then our team on the back end will monitor how many tests are being processed. And then as needed, we will just auto ship out additional supplies to your school, to the individual schools or to a central district testing site. Of course, with antigen testing, we're working with DOH to get access to the antigen tests, and we do have access to those. I know with many of the districts that we work with, take advantage of the antigen tests that are already on site of the districts. Once we go through those, we can order directly from the DOH supply warehouse to have those shipped directly to the schools. And again, we can kind of do that on a very similar basis, really just monitoring on the back end. As that supply gets low, we just ship those out to you. The other option, that you have to order supplies or to get supplies is through the chat or email support that we provide. For email, what we do is we create a district-specific support email for every district that we're working with. And you email that into us, that comes into our support team, and then we'll just go ahead and ship out the additional testing supplies that you need from the email that you send us. Or the chat feature, which is available in our software portal, is a great tool. It's useful for many things, including one of those simple things of like, hey, I just need some more supplies. Can you send me some? And our team they'll know who you are because you're logged into your specific district or school level version of the chat. Collecting samples, I think it's really about as easy as picking your nose, as we like to say. Just like using a Q-tip. It's not exactly a Q-tip, but it's very similar to that. And in almost all cases, individuals can self-swab, and that's for all of the tests that we are administering, whether it's PCR tests or antigen tests. If folks want support in that process, and we have a team on the ground that is helping you with the testing process, our team can do the collection for somebody if they need a little bit more help. It's about a 15-second swab on each nostril. And then that swab goes into a tube. If it's a PCR test, it gets labeled properly, registered in the system, and then it gets shipped out to the lab. If it's an antigen test, then that swab it gets handed over to the administrator, the admin on the site, and they go through the process of administering the point of care on-site antigen test. Ship PCR samples to the lab. So obviously this is just talking about PCR samples that we would be sending to the lab. Antigen tests are point of care tests. They're processed on-site. But for PCR tests, they have to go to the lab, and we have a few different methods that we can do that. During the kickoff call, we'll review all these options with you and explore what's the best for your particular district and your particular use case. So the courier pickup, which can be done at school or at a central drop-off location, is exactly what it sounds like. We coordinate and collaborate with the courier. And then what we really do is try and build optimal pickup times and delivery routes to get those samples to the lab. In some cases, we might be in a district where our lab is nearby, where there's no courier coordination, but we're just coordinating directly with our staff, training them on that process. So there's a clear chain of custody, and then delivering those samples to the lab. In other cases, you might have a situation where a district is very nearby to a lab that we work with, and they might prefer to deliver those samples to the lab. If that's the case, again, very similar to what we were talking about with some of these other options. We'll coordinate with you. We'll make sure you're trained on that process. We have approval to undertake that. In all these cases, what we really look to is optimize efficient process that gets very fast turnaround time for PCR tests. And I can tell you that last year, we averaged under 24 hours for PCR results in the program in Washington. Crush the curve. As you can imagine, that name comes from exactly what we're all trying to do here, crush the curve and crush COVID. As you can see here, it really provides you a user-friendly, comprehensive dashboard. And you can use this both at the district level and at the school level. District administrators, head health and human service staffs, they might have access at district level. versus at a school level, you might have an individual school nurse, you might have a principal, assistant principal. They don't want to see all of the other schools in the district. They just want to see their specific school results. And the dashboard really is user-friendly and comprehensive in both of those regards. A central location where you can see all of your testing data, monitor things like outbreak trends across your entire district. Again, this is at the district level that we're talking. There are a variety of pre-built reports that you can generate. And if you ever have any questions about those, you can use that in-app chat that I was talking about. If you don't remember exactly where that is and you're looking for a report, you can just easily to access the chat and ask a question. Hey, how do I access the reports? Our team is really proud to have a 2-minute response time on that. I don't even know how they do that. It's pretty incredible. You're not always going to get that, but during school hours and beyond that, you likely will. But again, the idea is, how do you view information easily so then you can take actionable steps? Let's get into the school level dashboard, the one-stop shop at a school level to see test results. There's a number of different services and support that we can provide. In some cases, if schools want to use our service and support, but they don't need our staff on the ground, but they do like some of the other service and support and features that we can offer, if the school is administering those tests on their own and they're doing PCR testing, then they would initiate that process right here from their school-specific dashboards. If our team is on the ground and they're administering this, they would also do it. They would have an admin account at the school level as well to be able to initiate that process. They could also use the dashboard to log point-of-care antigen tests. Also, you can log and view at-home antigen tests if you want to have those reported as part of your workflow. All right, getting into a little bit more detail here, what you can see is taken from a school level dashboard. Let's go through some of the features that you could access within here. Consent tracking is obviously a big one. One of the things that's pretty cool, you can generate a school-specific consent registration link, and then you can use that to share out to your school community. Send it out to email, you can put it into a newsletter. If you have some other school communication platform that you want to use, you can use that to send it out at a school level so you can collect consents. So those are all things that are really easy to do from the Crush the Curve platform from the consent side. There's also some safeguards around consents that are built in. So if you actually go to initiate a test for somebody and that individual, it's a student or staff, and you have not yet collected consent from them within the portal, you're going to get a message that you're not able to generate a test for that individual. When we talk about member records, we're talking about our students or staff or anybody that you are choosing to test within your platform. So again, student, staff member, we have a registration workflow where individuals will essentially register to be tested. And during that process, they're filling out kind of all the required information that's needed in order to conduct a COVID test. You can track things like vaccination status. They're required to test for exempted individuals from vaccinations. If you have some high-risk individuals that you're aware of that you want to keep an extra eye on, you can also mark individuals that way within the member records section. Within your school level dashboard, when you initiate tests in the top right corner, it says test now. That's how you go to initiate a test. If you're conducting PCR tests or antigen tests, there's a few different pieces in that workflow. For a PCR test, you're initiating that test, creating that test, you're printing out or associating a barcode with that test that's going on to that individual tube. And then, as that gets packaged up and sent to the lab, that's what allows the results reporting to be tracked and come back to that particular individual, and you'll be able to see that within your portal. If it's an antigen test, or whether it's at home, at school, diagnostic surveillance, however you're doing your antigen testing, you're really using the portal, the school level portal dashboard, to be able to do things like create that test for that individual, see the results for all of the antigen tests that you're collecting. You can easily generate reports, any of the tests or the test results. You can gather at home antigen test reporting if you choose to do that. You can send out a link to your parent and school community. They can do that through this school-specific link. Very user-friendly, as we've been talking about. You can choose to be notified by email notification if you're getting positive results. So that way you don't have to sort of be checking the dashboard morning, noon, and night. You're able to generate specific school links that you can, again, send to your school community to do things like collect consent or for individuals to register. We walk you through this in the training. And as we talked about during the dress rehearsal, that's exactly what the dress rehearsal is for. We have a registration form that we use with districts and schools that you can send out to your school community so individuals can go ahead and register themselves to be tested. It speeds up that whole intake process when folks are on site. Of course, you can do this on site as well if you want. Or our team can do this when folks arrive on site. They click on the registration link that you send out. They can find their specific individual school. They can enter in their information. If they've registered previously, they can look up their information, verify yourself through email, update your information as necessary. The consents that we use, so you can just collect consent at the beginning of the school year. And if your testing strategy or modality or technology changes, the consent that we use really covers all of that, so you don't have to recollect consent. If anyone consented last year, they will have to be reconsented again. That is a requirement. The consent has been translated into a number of languages, and I really want to thank Health Commons for being such a great partner in that process. During the registration process, when individuals are registering to be tested, really easy to navigate. We do provide a district level support email that you're welcome to share with your school community. So we would share with them how they can access their member registration link so they can access the results. Parents, if they have multiple kids in the school system, they can register multiple kids under their account just to kind of streamline their process, that process. Collecting consent. So what we're looking at here is an overview of the members that have consented within your school level dashboard. So you can look up within your specific school which members have already consented, which have not. You can easily generate this add member link that, again, you can send out to folks through a number of different channels if you want to be able to collect that consent. You can also push out consent collection in bulk if you decide to do so. So again, consent, it becomes one of these things that's really easy for a school administrator to be able to review and manage. Reporting and the notification of results. Individuals that are being tested can get access to the results. When they register, they provide an email address. When the test result comes in, that individual has an email that's sent out to them. They can then click on a secure link. It will take them to their version of the portal where they can verify it is them, and then they'll be able to log in and get access to the results. At a school level, or if you're a school level admin, those individuals, as we talked about, can get notified of positive results specifically through email. They don't have to be checking the portal morning, noon, and night. So again, very easy to be able to get these results. And again, same for the district admins. District admins, it will show you the comprehensive dashboard if you're at a district level of all of your tests, all of your positives. Very easy to dig down and be able to see that information. As a district leader, you can really dictate and easily control how you want access to be provided. Do you want it at a district level? Do you want it at the school level for some of your staff? Do you want individuals to, like, for example, you might have some folks that are, part of your protected health room staff or your nursing staff that you actually don't want them to see results, but you want them to be able to admit to sort of start a test to kind of generate the testing process, but you don't want those individuals to get access to results. So again, very granular permissions here. Through our testing program, we are reporting PCR testing results to DOH. If you have other reporting requirements, it's very easy to generate reports. Some of these are pre-built reports. Export them and share them however you need to. For antigen point of care testing, for example, there's a variety of different types of tools. Get access to the reports and to send out those results however you want that to happen. For PCR and antigen testing, those individuals are always getting notified through an email of their test results. You've got tools on the back end as an administrator if you want to be notified by email of positive results, or if you just want to log into the dashboard and be able to view individual results.
Thank you, Boris, for doing such a comprehensive overview. Our website also has other CIC Health resources. We have an implementation toolkit, different guides, access to the translated consent forms there. So make sure you check out learntoreturn.org. And with that, have a wonderful afternoon. Bye, everyone.